So to get started, team, for folks who are joining in from the Bay Area who may possibly relate to this, and for folks around the world, we got up today in the morning to an unprecedented time where we had winds blowing beyond like close to 60 miles per hour. On the other side, there is trees falling and fire in the forest, all of it because of the winds carrying. So we were being bombarded on all sides today morning, power outages, all of it. And if you look at IT operations and management, we are in a similar state. We are being bombarded with different tools, different processes, multiple data sets, and as an IT ops and an SRE person, we are all looking for something that will help us bring all of this together to provide actionable insights, right? And that's where AI and automation are going to propel us, is going to go and catapult us to the next level in IT operations and management. And what we are going to cover in the next 30 odd minutes is how do I demystify this kind of a mouthful topic into a simple set of understandable agenda. Going back to Angel Beats' tagline of bringing cloud to earth, my goal is to bring AI and automation for IT to earth, so that we can all understand. So for that, I have a very simple agenda so that you can all follow, starting with, I'm going to give a context around market dynamics, which we all would be able to relate to. It's something which we all go through, be it if you are a CIO, if you are a SRE, if you're an IT ops person, we should all be able to relate to these market dynamics and challenges. And from there, we're going to look at how AIOps or AI-driven automation is actually going to come to rescue the problems and the challenges which we see. And I'm going to end with, okay, all of this is good. Tell me more about what does IBM have here. Starting with Watson, which Ron gave away, is like how we bring in IBM's Watson AI capabilities into solving AIOps, like operational challenges. Okay, so let's take a step back for the next 5 odd minutes to look at these market changes which is happening. IDC predicts by 2023 there are going to be more than 500 million logical apps, new logical apps, which is going to be developed, built. And if you look at that number, it's so unprecedented that it is equal to all the total number of apps which have been built over the last 40 years. So, meaning like it's something which we were not prepared for. So we have to make sure that we are getting prepared for that particular age as we continue to deliver with that velocity. But what does that actually has translated into? Each of the business or line of businesses which you are part of have chosen their best breed of tools, best breed of platform to go and achieve that logical app velocity or delivery, right? Like they are not tied to a single platform, they are not tied to a single technology, they are not tied to a single tool, which means that somebody is using one public cloud, somebody is using another public cloud, or a combination of both, a combination of data lying in a private cloud, all of that, right? So again, the same IDC says that 70% of those enterprises are deploying those new logical apps across multi-cloud or a hybrid deployment, right? So the apps could be running and could be leveraging machine learning from a different cloud, could be actually leveraging data from a private cloud, all of it. So it's all about making sure that you get to use the best of the breed here. But all of that sounds great, but as you could see, these variations introduce complexities in terms of standardizations, in terms of governance and compliance, all of it, right? Okay, so great, I have 500 new logical apps, I have actually a hybrid cloud environment, but if you go out and ask yourself, or if you go out and poll your own team, how much time, what is the most time-consuming thing which I am actually working on a daily basis? The same research says more than 70 to 75% of the team are actually busy in maintenance mode. It's just ensuring the uptime, or even just ensuring the app is running, or instead of actually focusing on innovation, right? So you are actually spending most of your time in business as usual than actually helping propel your own organization's business forward. Right? And this is the true reality. If you even ask me, I as an IT ops person, I'm doing something similar. On the contrary, why is that we are all so busy? If you look at deep dive and ask the question, okay, now I know we are all busy, agree, but why we are busy is because we are bombarded with this false alerts everywhere, right? We get paged for false outages, we get paged for false errors, all of it, which is not truly a problem for the application or problem for the business, because most of these alerts have been set based on rule-based technologies, which means that when a rule fails, it actually triggers, and most often that rule is not applicable for many scenarios, like how the app gets used. And the statistics says that less than 1% of the alerts which we are all gets paged is actually critical, but that one alert which we all have to wake up in the morning at 2 a.m. could cost us your organization more than 420K per hour of downtime, right? So it's not about going and addressing that alert when the incident happens. It's about how do we actually detect it before as well. So that's why we are busy. We are all busy maintaining applications, but if you go and look at it, why we are busy, because we have so many false alerts and not correlating to each other, that we spend time in like making sure that it's not, that false alert is not going to lead to an incident. That's why we are looking for an AI-driven automation platform to provide that intelligence. Okay, so to solve that problem, if we take a step back, how did we solve the problem of creating new logical apps? How did we go and solve the problem of addressing hybrid cloud or multiple cloud usages? And our answer, the CIO's answer, was, okay, let's bring in more tools. Let's bring in a tool for doing CI. Let's bring in a tool for security. Let's bring in a tool for doing CD. Let's choose a cloud. Let's choose another cloud for something else. Or let's choose a tool for monitoring network. Let's choose a tool for monitoring applications. So we are all having umpteen number of tools, and all of these tools are spitting out tremendous amount of data. And using the data, we have gone ahead and built a lot more cool looking dashboards, but those dashboards have not resulted in helping us reduce the downtime or ensuring the uptime or promised by our SLAs, right? So we are all having more tools, more data, more dashboards, but not actual real actionable insights. So just to finish off what we are all, I want to empathize with fellow SREs and IT ops on the call, saying that this complexity of these tools, dashboards, and data have gone and stretched us, all of us, that we are not able to go and quickly understand the data, quickly go and respond, or proactively actually go and respond to actually prevent a particular incident. We all end up looking like this particular Lego block, right? We all are in front of multiple dashboard screens, mashup screens, looking at different monitors, but trying to figure out that needle in the haystack. But finally, what action should I take to actually ensure that the app does not go down the next time? How do I ensure that it could be prevented before? That's what we are all there. So this is what every IT ops or SRE person goes through. So what we are all looking for is, how do we bring all of these together to provide a intelligence for us to go and prevent these things from happening. So with that said, if you go, the same research went and polled the leaders who said that 3/4 of the team is busy doing maintenance mode. And the question posed to them was, how do you expect it to be resolved in future? They actually answered saying that AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning is going to be the way forward, where they were expecting those automated insights to be driven out, right? Could I actually go and do runbook automations triggered by AI? could I actually identify the next best action to be done based on our previous past incidents? All of those, and 10 times more IT leaders are actually responded saying that they look forward for AI to solve this problem which they have. Okay, so that's the context for the problem and the challenges and what this expectation is from the IT leaders in our market are, right, from your businesses are. So that's pivots me to, okay, all of this challenge is good, tell me the solution now. The solution is how AI-driven automation is going to propel us and catapult us for our IT management, right? It's, as you could see the compass down, it's the directional thing which is going to help us take us to the next step, next level for in IT operations and management. Okay, so that's for folks who are new to AIOps, just to set a context. AIOps is an evolving market. As the name gives away, it's basically applying AI to IT operations and helping resolve incidents, remediate incidents, prevent incidents from happening, all of it. So AIOps is, was a terminology defined by Gartner and others in terms of the market. And truly, that AIOps technology or the overall space is reimagining how we all conduct IT operations, right? So if you look at the left are the problems which we just went through, right? The siloed teams, tools, processes, the data explosion, or more importantly also, we all took an infrastructure approach. No blame, if that's how we all have evolved in IT, as against looking at an application-centric approach, which I will delve as I go through this session a little more in detail. On the right side is how the AIOps is bringing all things together, is like providing a complete visibility, observability across the stack, right? It's a complete visualization and observability, not a siloed piece. AI for IT insights, embedded AI, so that you could actually go ahead and do it within your processes, all of it. And finally, the application-centric capability, moving outside of what we are used. Like if you go ahead and talk, when I used to do IT ops early on, I was always used to be measured against how many VMs were I able to provision, what was my turnaround time in provisioning a VM, or the network, all of it. Rather, I never looked up to what application that VM, what business problem that particular VM actually helped solve. Was it the mobile banking app which it actually helped solve, all of it? So we need to move away from an infrastructure approach into an application-centric capability. With that said, as I said, AIOps is reimagining everything, but AIOps is not just the technology, but it's for you to succeed in AIOps, we need to make sure we are bringing people, processes, and technology together, right? The technology is not the silver bullet answer for all of those problems. Right? We need to make sure that we are not talking in terms of those siloed teams. So network ops, you stay there. App ops, you stay here. We need to make sure we are able to get these teams together of multidisciplinary teams, convergence of roles, focused on business outcomes, right? Not focused on how much turnaround time or infrastructure, which I just walked you through. And also, if you look at processes, talking back to what we saw previously with Circle CI, it is important about how you actually close loop your DevSecOps processes, right? How do you actually take insights from your dev and feed it into ops? How do you take insights from your ops and feed it into dev? So your processes have to come together to make AIOps as a true success. Finally, of course, you need a technology provider who has been proven to provide that insights and intelligence, where AI is the backbone of not just AIOps for everything what they do, right? That's where IBM stands out as a critical differentiator, and we will see those as I go through the rest of the session. So just wanted to reiterate that AIOps may be the next cool thing, but make sure that when you are talking to your own internal teams, we need to bring all of these together to make sure that you are able to succeed. The technology, the process, and the people, and so that we could actually be successful here. So with that, a quick detail around the market itself, like the AIOps market, how AIOps is revolutionizing stuff, and the actual insights or bring for success in AIOps. Let me pitch now what IBM has to offer in this space. IBM, thanks to the Watson technology, the AI technology, all of it, we have built on that strong foundation, which we have been doing for years. That's why I refer to the Jeopardy game, which you may all know, and use that technology to accelerate and deliver value for IT operations and management. Right? So if you look at the dial, it's all about ability to go and discover, go and ingest data, understand your IT landscape, make sure that we are able to acclimatize to what how you run your operations today. And as we actually go and discover that, we need to go and have unsupervised learning, because if if you require data scientists to solve this problem, we are not going to get 100 data scientists in our team to actually help us with AIOps, right? You should have a technology that lets you go and understand those data which is being collected and using machine language and NLP technologies to actually go and surface decisions out of it. And finally, you should be able to go and automate or act on that decision, right? Like the technology is going to go and say, this is the next best action, and which you should be doing. You should be able to go and automate or act on that particular recommendation. So how are you going to go and, for example, raising as simple as when an issue has occurred, could you automatically go and raise a GitHub issue, right, or a GitLab issue, or a Bitbucket issue, so that and attach relevant logs, relevant metrics and details to that issue, so that the development team could go and actually resolve that problem or patch that problem faster than actually what they do today. All of this is good, but it's a continuous wheel where we need to make sure that we are able to optimize that, right? It's not just making sure that it's self-learning, the system is self-learning. We are able to go and understand how you have been working on. You may reject some recommendations. The actual AI could be suggesting some drift. How do we actually build trust with on those automations which you are going to execute and optimize that to go and do it? We executed various engagements, which you will see as examples with clients, where because of the time saved of these automations, they were able to go and focus more time on innovation, right, on new projects. They were able to save 50% on the labor cost, all of it. And more importantly, with the AI from IBM as the backbone and with Red Hat as the platform, it can run on any cloud of your choice, public cloud, private cloud, any cloud of your choice. You can actually go and do it. Of course, you would have also heard about a critical piece inside AIOps is all about observability, like from siloed tools to full visualization and observability. And we have now did a recent acquisition, which you would have heard around Instana, which provides that complete full stack observability, so that you could actually go and understand how your application is performing. Okay, so all good. I understand the 30,000 feet level. That was the 30,000 feet level. Tell me more in terms of what capabilities now Watson AIOps is delivering. So this is a slide. If I have to take away from the session, if you could take a picture of this, this is a slide which you should be remembering about it, right? So Watson AIOps is actually provides an end-to-end capability for both IT management and IT operations, right? Starting with an application impact avoidance, or AKA kind of incident avoidance. How are you going to avoid an incident? Can it talk to your existing ticketing system like ServiceNow, understand what has been the previous resolutions, and derive insights from it to go and avoid that from happening the next time? The second capability is around, we talked about hybrid apps running on across multiple clouds. How am I going to understand a same app could be running inside a VM, and a microservice could be running in a Kubernetes cluster, on a public cloud, and all of it. how am I going to get a context of managing this application together so that I could provide a holistic answer to my business, right? A good example which always comes up to my mind is when there is something wrong with Netflix, of course, Twitter goes berserk. But the first thing which I do is I call up and say my app is down. I don't go and call up and say, oh, your network is down, your CPU is spiking, all of it. So it's always the business is focused around your application. Like for example, even if you take if your users around here are SAP, your SAP business in terms of going and working with partners or financials, how is that application being managed and provided uptime is the critical question here. We talked about observability, powered from end-to-end observability through visualization and all of it, powered through Instana. That's what you see in the third bucket, which is a critical component, right? The first thing is to make sure that you are able to understand all the moving parts and pieces within your application landscape. The fourth bucket which you see is often left out. If you look at security always comes as post, like close to ship in terms of your application, right? When it's ready to be shipped, that's where you think about, okay, I've gone through all the security compliance and all of it, which means that your entire process is going to get delayed. How do you ensure you're compliant or you are doing what we call as continuous security as part of your development DevSecOps processes, starting right from dev to actually doing operations? For example, can I take insights from my logs and provide data and actions that could be introduced into the application by the engineering team? Like for example, a container is potentially running as root. Okay, I found out that from my container monitoring tool and all of it. Can I provide the data back to the development team so that they could go and fix it, right? So how do you do this continuous security across and just not a point in time? And more importantly, just not point in time before you actually ship the app. And the last bucket is around cost optimization and efficiency. At the end of the day, in this pandemic, all of it, we all know that how critical this is. We want to identify the right placement for the app. Like for example, you know this app is performing a spiking CPU, and if this app is being moved to a different cloud provider, you could actually go and save on cost because their CPU costs there are lower. Or if the app is not being used more, could you actually move them into a serverless environment? So how do you actually manage performance and application resource optimizations together with for cost management there? That's the final capability or the fifth capability which the AIOps from IBM is going to deliver. More importantly, as you could see at the bottom of this, we are working with we work with a lot of partners across, be it ServiceNow. I'm sure many of you are using ServiceNow, be it for change management or be it for ticket management. We have a first level partnership with ServiceNow to make sure that we have their plugins, all of it, which you can actually install on ServiceNow to have this AI embedded within. Or be it in terms of Humio for log ingestion, or Turbonomic for the resource management, which we just now talked about, or Slack for the chat ops, which we want, like could we get notified, alerted within your existing collaboration tools, like be it Microsoft Teams or Slack, all of it. So that this is, you could take away this slide as the architecture slide, where we are able, you get these 5 set of capabilities, starting from incident management to cost management or cost optimization, working with the best of breed partners available in the market, running on Red Hat OpenShift, which means that you could actually run on any platform of your choice, right? So including IBM Power and Z, all of it. Okay, I already covered this slide in detail in terms of what each of those capabilities are going to be there. So in interest of time, I'm going to leave this slide for your post-seminar readout so that you could actually go through what I went in detail in terms of what I pitched for those 5 capabilities in the previous one. But the key thing is all of these are powered by that foundation of AI and automation. Okay. So we talked the architecture slide. Tell me more about some AI, some technical stuff, right? Meaning like I understood the market, I understood the challenges. I understood AIOps market, I understood what IBM has to offer, but let's talk a little bit more around technology and potential differentiators. Why, if you hear AIOps, you need to think IBM, right? That should be how you should be looking at this particular section. So just a quick check on time. Okay. I'm doing okay on time, so I'll continue. To start off with, the key piece, as we talked about, is not to look at infrastructure, not to look at, like if you go and talk to vendors in the market in terms of AIOps, the first thing they will start with, okay, I will help you go away, reduce your mean time to reduction for your incident. That's the first thing, which is very important. But incidents for what? So they come from a very incident-centric background. Or if you talk to the other side of landscape, they come from a pure system landscape, right? Like VM provisioning, all of it, which we talked about. But what is needed is to take it a level up to make we all understand in terms of an application. So that's what you see visually, sorry, on the right, where in application, what do I mean by an application? An application is not just something which I call like a mobile banking app, but an application is being made up of all of these different data sets which we are actually collecting data from. Like, for example, the logs about the application. For cost optimization, what was the budget for that application? Like I should know the budget so that I could say that, okay, moving this workload to a different system could help you save and help you achieve your budget. Or organizational insights. Do I know the holiday calendar of my, or the roster of my SRE ITOps team to go out and make sure that I ping the right person when an incident occurs? Or more detailed organizational insights, could I look at Pramodh is skilled and has a badge on security. So whenever there is a security related incident, it's better that I go out and contact Pramodh because he can actually go out and resolve that problem faster. Or looking at previous collaboration conversations, right? Like I often talk about this app in the context of, say, security. So again, when a security incident occurs, Pramodh is the best person to solve. So the idea is, how do I actually bring all of these data sets together to form that comprehensive view of an application, right? From incidents. And talking about application, the critical piece of application is also the code itself, right? How do I actually look left or shift left of, can I do code provenance? Like, for example, a change got deployed today at 2 a.m. and the app went down at 4 a.m. So most promising reason why the app got affected was something got introduced in the change. So how do I actually go and get code provenance into it, right? So all of that is what makes up this in application. Of course, starting with digital experience and others. Okay, so what do I mean by that acclimate to your application? That was visual. Let's look at a little more detailed. I should be able to go and work with your tools, right? This AIOps solution cannot be a rip and replace part, right? It has to work with your existing ecosystem. You already have tools, and the AIOps solution should be able to go and integrate with those tools and actually go and deliver value. It should understand structured data, right? Metrics, all of it, which is great, but it also needs to understand unstructured data. To start off with logs, but more importantly, can it understand the comments on a service note ticket? Can it understand a Slack or a team conversation to actually provide insights? Right? How does it do unstructured data? It has to understand your people, as I talked about. How do you actually collaborate? With whom do you work often with? What is your team structure? Who needs to get paged? It's just not by some rule set, right? Like Pramodh is on the roster, he needs to get paged. No. How can I actually look at those badges which Pramodh has? Does he add value? Can I bring in, include him to resolve a ticket based on how he has worked in the past? Get acclimatized to your DevSecOps processes. We all have a role, we have a unique way of going and delivering our processes. How do we actually go and do DevSecOps processes? And finally, it has to work with your cloud of your choice, right? Or hybrid cloud of your choice. So we need to make sure it's able to correlate, curate all of these data across different data sources without the need of 100 data scientists. All of this may look cool, saying, oh, okay, I could do that, but to do this, you need 100 data scientists, which ITOps teams or the SRE teams are not going to get it. How do a technology partner simplify that for you? That's where IBM stands out. Great. That's the acclimatize or understanding your application. Okay, I've understood the application, but more importantly, as I talked about, the core goal is I want to make sure that I am able to meet my SLAs, or not just meet, exceed my SLAs, right? How do I actually go out and proactively avoid problems from occurring? We talked about shift left security or continuous security. How do I actually do policy enforcement of or guardrails to ensure that the app does not have vulnerabilities before it gets shipped? How do I ensure that a change being deployed, if it is risky, is being vetted different levels before it actually the change gets approved? All of that. So the visualization, if you see on the right, is more, you could think of that data which we collected in the previous slides is like the different facets of your soccer ball, right? Like the pentagons and the hexagons make up a different data sets. And see now that because of the AI is able to go and correlate all of these events together and provide insights for you to go and avoid, right? Like the error which is happening on the logs, a 500 error, and the memory spike, and all of it is the same, so that you could actually have a critical report where you see these related events together, right? Instead of actually getting paged once for those memory spikes, because its rule set was, okay, anything before more than 80% page me, and the log, anything when you see a 500 error, page me. Instead of that, how could you actually get a holistic view of saying these events are correlated together? And that's where the problem lies. That's why you can see that the data is the same of different facets of the soccer ball, but the AI is able to go and correlate all of these together to help you guide, saying that this is where you should be looking into. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the AI models which is embedded. This is not a complete list. We have more than 120 patents just on the AIOps alone, where we actually ship these domain-specific AI models, right? Starting with anomaly detection, right? How do I actually go and detect anomalies in my logs? How do I ensure that if there is something different, I get alerted and look for correlation? The next is fault localization. I know the apps are all interdependent upon each other, be the network, in the topology, to the actual memory, or to the app being dependent upon a different microservice. How do I actually make sure that I am able to identify where the actual error is and reduce the blast radius so that I don't impact other applications downstream or upstream? So that's where the fault localization blast radius comes in, right? We used node weighted graphs there. In anomaly detection, we use fast text and other machine learning and NLP languages to go and understand. Talking about proactively preventing incidents, how do I do continuous guardrail enforcement, like the policy based guardrail for security, for compliance, for cost, for budget? All of those are for industry standards or enterprise standards. How do I actually make sure that the app being shipped is the right app and ready for production? Finally, and another model which we ship is around change risk management. Could I actually predict that whether this particular change is going to be risky or not, based on how that the change is, what is being delivered through this change from the past history? Like, for example, Pramodh is a bad developer, right? Whenever he writes a code and he deploys a change, the app crashes. So can AI understand all of those insights? Like if you ask manually, it is very difficult to get these kind of insights. But how does the AI help to go and understand? Okay, look at code provenance. Okay, Pramodh made a change, and this is the section where the app has been changed, and previous incidents have a lot of correlation to this area where the changes were made. So how do I predict whether a higher risk score for this, so that it could be vetted through multiple different people before the change gets made into productions? And we talked about automation. Hopefully I'm just right coming on time. Talking about automations, you're not going to accept automations because an AI said so, right? We need to, over a period of time, build that trusted automation action, right? How do we make sure that the recommendation is backed with evidence? the recommendation is backed with insights that you can go and drill and understand, so that you agree to the automation which is being done. Like for example, the automation could say, go and run this runbook, because that's how the previous incident on a memory spike was solved. Okay, but that does not help me. Tell me what was the reason for the memory spike? Why was this runbook helped fixed? So you want a complete evidence, and so that as an ITOps person, as an SRE, you can go and build that confidence with it, right? To actually go and deliver on innovation. So few automations, of course, we talked about runbooks. Can I get the next best action based on, say, issue similarity? There was similar issue occurred. These were the steps which were done. Do you agree, disagree kind of thing? Or how do I actually go and make chat ops, surface all of these automations within chat ops? We talked about raising a GitHub issue, right? Just not raising a GitHub issue, but can it automatically go and attach the relevant logs directly onto the issue? Can it go and attach the relevant metrics? Because often the first question when we raise a GitHub issue to the engineering, we receive is, oh, tell me, give me more data. Tell me what did the user do? Which environment was that? What is the timestamp? Most of our time is spent in providing that data back to the engineering. Rather, imagine now the automation could actually go and do that for it. And the DevSecOps process automation itself, in terms of going and automating your security compliance, or going and automating your deployment, all of that. So that those recurring tasks could be automated and you get to focus on innovation. This is a slide which I will not go through in detail, but this just shows how a critical piece of the continuous DevSecOps or closed loop DevSecOps, right? We have mastered, or we have tools and solutions which have local optimums, right? There is a local optimum for dev, there is a local optimum for ops, but what we actually miss out is actually understanding the overall picture and finding an optimization across. Taking data from the dev, how fast, the code velocity, all of it, and providing that data into ops, or picking up the data from the ops and providing that back into the dev, like the code provenance, all of it, right? Or the test case. Can I actually, from my digital experience data, can I go and tell the test team, these are the areas where you should focus more on testing, and these are the areas you could be potentially lenient on testing, right? So how do I actually go and do that? That's what the power of a single AI platform, which brings all of these together, makes a difference. So finally, I will end with the differentiation for IBM. Just to recap all of that. As I said, when you hear AIOps, the first thing that should go in your mind is IBM, right? The one is, it's not general purpose AI. It is Watson, which has been proven on the field, and it's just not Watson, but it is domain specific AI models, right? When I say domain specific, it is for IT operations. We all know about social sentiment analysis, but it's a social sentiment analysis, the same model. How do you actually go and make it domain specific to look into your Teams and Slack conversation to derive insights from there, right? So it is not any AI, it is Watson. It's not just Watson, it's domain specific AI models specifically for your IT operations and management. We talked about moving away from our infrastructure into an application centricity, providing a single view of the application, like the soccer ball which we saw. How do it actually uses all the data sets together to provide that comprehensive view, so that you could actually act similar to how your business wants to act, and not like how we were all taught about managing infrastructure of it. Finally, the closed loop DevSecOps, making sure that you are able to provide work as a team together, not as ops and dev, all of it. How do you actually break those silos and bring that convergence of roles and multidisciplinary capabilities? How do you infuse security inside to your shift left? How do I make sure governance and compliance are there across your DevSecOps? So with that, I will stop to share that these are few customers who have had great success with AIOps, Taxia Banks, Dynata, ICBC, where they've actually improved various in terms of identifying hidden insights or resolution time or improved workflows.